6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Julmin Samarasinghe, read by Soundithavam. All schools in the western and northwestern provinces will be closed from tomorrow until Friday. Several areas to be isolated from tonight. The circular to call officials continuously for work at state institutions will be suspended from tomorrow. The President inspects the progress of development activities of the first Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. The World Bank reiterates its commitment to support Sri Lanka's recovery efforts. Probe launched into the New Year festival held in Nuwara. In foreign news, India's coronavirus crisis deepens as countries promise aid. And in sports weightlifting, Chaturika Veerasinghe sets up 3 Sri Lankan records at the Asian Weightlifting Championships. And in entertainment, Nomadland, Anthony Hopkins and Daniel Kaluuya share Oscars 2021 glory. The Ministry of Education has announced that all schools in the western and northwestern provinces will be closed from tomorrow until Friday due to the pandemic. Preschools and peer-events will also be closed in these 2 provinces during this time. Minister G.L. Peiris said that private schools in the 2 provinces will also be closed during the same time. Several areas in the Kalutara and Gampaha districts have been declared as isolated from 8 p.m. today to contain the spread of COVID-19. In the Kalutara district, the Miriswatta Grama Niladhari division and Palanwatta North Grama Niladhari division and East Grama Niladhari division will be isolated. In the Gampaha district, Polhena, Hiralugedara, Kalu Agala and Aspenavatta East Grama Niladhari division will be isolated. The Pumpuhar Grama Niladhari division in Trincomalee and the Dambula Economic Centre will also be isolated from 8 p.m. today. The circular to call officials continuously for work at state institutions will be suspended from tomorrow. Minister Janaka Bandara Tenakun said that he gave necessary instructions to the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, J.J. Ratnasiri. The minister said that the government believes in a flexible system to call public officials to work while following health guidelines under the present circumstances. He said that the relevant circular will be issued tomorrow by the ministry's secretary. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa visited the Velanvita village in the Badula district this morning to inspect the progress of the development activities of the first Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. The president inspected the Kotabogastana playground built by the army. 2 buses were added to the service from today to run from Haputale to Velanvita. The president looked into the development programs that have been completed and those that are being carried out. He directed the officials to complete the programs soon and vest them with the public. The president paid attention on the request by the public representatives to develop the Bandaravela and Haputale towns to attract tourists. The World Bank's country director for the Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, Faris Hadadzavos, concluded a successful visit to Sri Lanka yesterday. He reiterated the World Bank's commitment to support Sri Lanka's efforts towards recovery and to build back better from the COVID-19 shock. Hadadzavos was joined by Chio Kanda, the country director for the Maldives and Sri Lanka based in Colombo. Hadadzavos said Sri Lanka's economy is on the road to recovery after the worst downturn on record last year. The World Bank stands ready to support the Sri Lankan government as it strives to protect its people from the pandemic while addressing the vulnerabilities in the macro-fiscal environment. He said recovery and resilience in the post-COVID era can be accelerated by an export-oriented growth model that taps the full potential of private investments and that increases competitiveness and growth. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Steps are being taken to hold a formal investigation into the violation of health guidelines and the instructions of the governor during the New Year festival held in Nuwara on Sunday. The festival, organised by the Nuwara Municipal Council, had been held with Mayor Chandana Lal Karunaratne as the chief guest. The Central Province Governor Lalit Gamage said that he ordered the Provincial Commissioner of Local Government to hold an immediate investigation into the incident. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said that operations have been launched to arrest individuals who do not follow quarantine regulations. 177 people have been arrested yesterday for not wearing face masks and for not keeping a social distance. 134 of them have been arrested from the Western Province. 3,647 have been taken into custody for violating quarantine regulations. Meanwhile, the police headquarters said that another operation was conducted to nab drunken drivers from 8 p.m. to midnight yesterday. 558 drunken drivers have been taken into custody following the operation. At least 14 individuals, including 13 soldiers, were injured in a head-on collision between an army truck and a tipper lorry at Urumbrai Junction in Kopai early this morning. A group of soldiers of the Signal Corps in Kopai on leave were on board the truck that met with the accident. Police investigations revealed that the tipper lorry had entered the road recklessly and had collided with the truck. The police said the injured soldiers and the driver of the army truck were admitted to the Jaffna Teaching Hospital. That's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The chairman of the Airport and Civil Aviation Authority, Major General G. A. Chandrasiri, says that the Katunayaka and Mattala international airports will be kept open. However, he said that the arrival and departure lobbies will be closed for 1 week at these two international airports. He further said that strict health protective measures are in place at the airports. That came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the main office of the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment in Battaramulla will remain closed tomorrow and the day after as an employee has tested positive for the coronavirus. However, the first approval and final approval divisions of the Bureau's main office, as well as the South Korea Employment Division, will operate with a limited staff on these days. The Talahena office and regional offices will not be closed. The Foreign Employment Bureau's branch at the airport will also be providing services and registration for foreign employment. The Foreign Employment Bureau said that its main office will reopen from Thursday after disinfecting the office premises, and came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
the best discount in this Urdu season, People's Leasing Polywasi. Enjoy an interest rebate of 25% from People's Leasing for all the leasing facilities during this Urdu season. Call 011-2006-300 for more details. Conditions apply.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Making world news headlines, India's coronavirus crisis deepens as countries promise aid. Perth ends lockdown after COVID cases contained. Nomadland, Anthony Hopkins and Daniel Kaluuya share the Oscars 2021 glory. India's new coronavirus infections hit a record peak for a fifth day today as countries including Britain, Germany and the United States pledged to send urgent medical aid to help battle the crisis, overwhelming its hospitals. Infections in the last 24 hours rose to 352,991, with overcrowded hospitals in Delhi and elsewhere turning away patients after running out of supplies of medical oxygen and beds. The Australian city of Perth will end a snap 3-day lockdown that began after a man contracted COVID in hotel quarantine and moved around with community while infectious. 3 local cases have been reported since Friday, and restrictions are set to be lifted at midnight today. State Premier Mark McGowan said the harsh steps had been necessary. Australia's snap lockdowns have helped contain COVID outbreaks and kept infection rates low. Film drama Nomadland has scooped 3 Oscars, including Best Picture, while British stars Sir Anthony Hopkins and Daniel Kaluuya have won acting awards. Nomadland's Chloe Zhao made history as the first woman of colour and the second woman to win Best Director. Sir Anthony, aged 83, is the oldest winner of Best Actor, while Kaluuya is the first black British actor to win an Oscar in the supporting category. Back to the headlines of the world news. India's coronavirus crisis deepens as countries promise aid. Perth ends lockdown after COVID cases contained. And Nomadland, Anthony Hopkins and Daniel Kaluuya share the Oscars 2021 glory. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
the best discount in this Urdu season, People's Leasing Polywasi. Enjoy an interest rebate of 25% from People's Leasing for all the leasing facilities during this Urdu season. Call 011-2006-300 for more details. Conditions apply.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
In development news, Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that he has proposed to include environment, forests, water and clean air as fundamental rights in the new constitution. He was speaking at the stakeholder dialogue on climate change, resilience and just recovery in the sectors of agriculture, forestry and biodiversity held recently at the Cinnamon Grand Hotel in Colombo. That's development news, and looking at sports, it's weightlifting first. Sri Lankan weightlifter Chaturika Veerasinghe set up 3 Sri Lankan records in the 81-kilogram weight class at the Asian Weightlifting Championships now in progress in Uzbekistan. She couldn't win a medal in her weight class but was able to set up Sri Lankan records with the highest weight in snatch and clean and jerk method with overall weight in this weight class. On to cricket. The 103rd annual big match between Trinity College Kandy and St Anthony's College Katugastota will be played on the 15th and 16th of next month. The match will be played without spectators this time due to the prevailing situation in the country. On to sports schools. The interviews to admit students to sports schools have been postponed indefinitely. The interviews and practical examinations to admit students to sports schools were scheduled to commence from tomorrow. Those schools are under the purview of the Ministry of Education. Due to the prevailing situation in the country, the ministry has decided not to conduct interviews and examinations. And finally, on to netball news. Sydney has won the right to host the 2027 Netball World Cup. It is the third time the Australian city will have staged the event, having previously held it in 1991 and 2015. Australia have won a record 11 World Cup titles and got to the final of the 2019 competition, which took place in England, only to lose to New Zealand. And you can send in your sports news to newslbc@yahoo.com. That's sports news. We'll look at business news next.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The Colombo Stock Exchange has approved an application submitted by Prime Lands Residences Limited for the listing of its ordinary voting shares by way of an offer for subscription. The company will be listed on the Dirisavi board of the Stock Exchange, subject to compliance with the CAC listing rules and the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka Stock Exchange directives. The IPO is due to be opened on the 11th of May 2021 and came to you in Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
State Minister D.V. Chanaka said all arrangements will be made for investors to begin construction of factories in the pharmaceutical zone in Arabokka, Hambantota in June. The State Minister said President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has given specific instructions to him and ministry officials to ensure that this project runs on time. The zone is expected to meet 40% of the domestic pharmaceutical requirement by locally manufacturing drugs while earning $1 billion of export earnings as import substitution by 2025. That's economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
On to the weather report. The Met Department says that showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the western, central, Sabaragamuwa, southern, Uva, north central and northwestern provinces during the evening or night. Showers may occur in the western and southern coastal areas during the morning too. Fairly heavy rainfalls, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, Uva and central provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. And to conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. All schools in the western and northwestern provinces will be closed from tomorrow until Friday. Several areas to be isolated from tonight. The circular to call officials continuously for work at state institutions will be suspended from tomorrow. The President inspects the progress of development activities of the first Gama Samaga Pilisandara program. The World Bank reiterates its commitment to support Sri Lanka's recovery efforts. Probe into the New Year festival held in Nuwara Eliya. India's coronavirus crisis deepens as countries promise aid. Chaturika Veerasinghe sets up 3 Sri Lankan records at the Asian Weightlifting Championships. And Nomadland, Anthony Hopkins and Daniel Kaluuya share Oscars 2021 glory. That concludes this evening's news broadcast, and now it's back to your good friend and mine, Chandima Veerakun, across the glass pane to keep you entertained right up to the end of transmission.